All right, hey guys, this is Along for the Ride, episode 2, Jeep Grand Wagoneer, and I am sitting in said Jeep Grand Wagoneer. This thing is plush, baby, and we're going to take a look at this thing, talk to the owner. We're going to debut the video that eGarage made on this. It's really awesome, I'm telling you. Inside story, these guys are storytellers. And we're going to interview with Ben Abrams of eGarage and director Fraser. It's going to be really cool. So let me hop out of this thing and introduce you to Buz. Hey, Buz. Thanks for coming, man. Woo!
Thank you.
You are one tall dude.
I am the biggest.
Yeah, so we got to go for the wide shot here. We're going to spend a couple minutes here taking a look at the car in real life before you take a look at it in the video. And like I said, we're going to talk about what it took to create this awesome video and what it's like to own this car.
Yeah, you betcha.
And you drove all the way over from Ellensburg, Eastern Washington.
Yeah, all the way across the pass. Did it just fine, just like always.
Yeah, these things are fairly bulletproof, right?
Yeah, it's a beast of a car. It's not lightweight, that's for sure. And it'll pass everything but a gas station.
And you fit in it.
Yeah, that's the miracle. That's what attracts me to it as well. But it's a great driving car. Love it on the freeway.
Family hauler.
Off-roading. Off-road, fishing, whatever you can throw at it. Snow, mountains.
Everything Washington has to
everything
offer.
Washington has to offer. It'll do it.
Cool. So let's take a little walk around this side, and obviously, the wood paneling is a cherished feature.
It is, yeah, and especially on this one, this is all the original wood paneling from 1988, which was one of the first things that kind of attracted me to this particular Jeep when I first saw it. It's pretty much all original paint.
It's really cherry.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but for its age and the abuse that they usually receive, it's in pretty nice shape.
How long have you had it?
I've had this for probably, 4 or 5 years now.
Okay.
It kind of, it gets a little hazy after a while.
Yeah,
but I
I'm
think
sure.
somewhere in there.
Let's just kind of walk along the side.
Yeah.
What have you done to the car through this time?
This is one of those cars where when I saw it and I bought it, and it's like, oh, this is going to be great, and it's clean. It just ended up there. It was just one thing after another. I've put a new motor in it, a new transmission, a new rear end.
Stock motor?
Yeah, it's a stock motor. I put Edelbrock fuel injection on it.
Okay.
It's got a real mild cam in it. I went through the transfer case for the 4-wheel drive, all that jazz.
Reliability issues.
Yeah, and I was hauling my family in it a lot at that time, so I just wanted to make sure that it would do what I asked it to. And wouldn't leave them stranded. So,
and certainly it's safe by its very nature, since this is basically a huge hunk of steel.
It is. It's the 2-ton missile. Yeah, there's a lot of weight.
What does it weigh? Like 6,000?
I think so. Yeah, it creeps up on $6,000.
Is that what motor's in there?
This is the AMC 360.
Okay.
And this is a 1988. So in 1987, I believe, is when Chrysler acquired Jeep. And so from the 87 until the last year of 91 are kind of the most desirable Jeeps, which is what drew me in on this one in the first place. But yeah, it has the C360. It's got the Chrysler Torque Flight transmission and transfer case.
And they really didn't change these much at all. I mean, they went through a couple of model changes previous to this, but once it was this style, this is the way it went out.
Yeah, it was primarily the same car for years and years and years, which I think it's kind of like a Porsche 911 or cars like that where they nail it. They nail it the first time. Now hold on.
This is nothing like a Porsche 911.
I know, but they nail the body style so well the first time out. They don't really have to change it for years on end, and it'll still keep selling.
Ages well.
Yeah, it ages really well, and it's kind of making a resurgence right now. And
let's have you hop in there, just see how you fit in there, and you can kind of maybe get a good shot of the interior. This car is, of course, in Forza Motorsport 7, and we're going to be playing with it in game later. In fact, I think Fraser's in there playing with it right now. I think he's actually driving it on the Nürburgring. Yeah, you fit in there nicely.
Yeah, there's headroom in here. You could, there's enough room for kids and a dog and picnics and
All camping
everything,
gear.
yeah.
You could strap a house onto the top of it pretty much if you wanted
yeah,
to.
we take it skiing. It's wonderful.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Can we pop the hood and take a look at that motor in there?
Yeah.
Does
yeah.
it-
It's a little grungy.
That's cool. I mean,
it's
that means it's
family
been
wagon.
that means it's been driven.
That's true. Yeah.
Actually, you
lift
didn't
on the hood
detail
there.
it before you brought it here?
I just washed it, but
Just kidding. Yeah, let's pop the hood and take a quick look at
Okay.
the motor there, and maybe you can pan around the backside. It's really beautiful over there. While he pops the hood, and I don't know why they don't make wood-paneled vehicles anymore, because it is just such a timeless feature. I guess I know why, because people today probably don't want it as much, but wood-paneled vehicles, they're just absolutely gorgeous. And it speaks to the period, that the car came from,
yeah.
and it's an extra layer of armor.
That's true. Yeah. Just one more thing on there.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at the engine. You got a tow hitch on there. You can haul things with this easily. Lockouts, real lockouts.
Real lockouts. Yeah.
That's like a thing from the past by itself. Oh, look
Yeah,
at that
there
thing.
She is.
It's shiny.
Well, we use it, so I don't. It never gets trailered or babied, so it gets well used. So she's a little greasy and dirty, but that just means it works.
I love it. I considered buying one of these back in, must have been probably 95. It was
Yeah.
just sitting on a lot. It was far before they were like as desirable as they
Popular,
are
yeah.
now, and I think it was $59.99 or something
Sure.
like that.
Yeah, next to nothing.
And I love the couch-like seats. And the whole thing's like a Barcalounger.
It is. It's a couch on wheels, and that was kind of the joke when we were making the film. Is that it's just so comfortable in there. You could lay down and take a nap.
Right on. Yeah. Well, the video is super cool. We're gonna get to that shortly. Let's go in and meet Ben and Fraser, and you can have a seat on the couch.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Welcome to my garage. It does many things. Do some work on cars in here, and we do the shows in here, and mostly just keep my cars in here. But today's a special day, and here comes the camera.
Hi, guys.
Folks, I'd like to introduce you to Ben Abrams of eGarage, owner of eGarage.
Hi, John. Thanks
You
for
are
having me.
eGarage.
Yeah, kind of.
And then we've got Fraser over here. He's been like a kid in a candy store since he sat in that simulator there.
Pretty much.
He's like, take me to the Nürburgring. I want to drive the Jeep on the
full circuit
Nürburgring.
immediately,
How does that thing handle on the Nürburgring?
like a truck.
Yeah, pretty much. I was getting warmed up on that earlier in case I was going to have to drive. I went to the Top Gear test track in the wet in a drift mode, and I drifted the bejesus out of that thing. Granted, it's not really that great of a drifter because it's not that powerful. But you'd be surprised with that e-brake. I got some nice reverse entries going in, and I was like, I think I could rock this.
That's exactly how he likes to drive it.
Yeah, that's how I actually got here.
Well, you are a Formula D driver with that car, aren't you, in real life? Yeah, I was thinking.
Yeah, on the weekends. That's my second job.
So what we're going to be doing here, we're going to take a look at some behind-the-scenes photos that they took while they did some of the filming. We're going to take a look at the video. We're going to talk with Ben and Fraser about what it took to actually create this awesome video. We're going to show the video. Did I say that?
We should show the video.
We should show the video.
Yeah.
Do you want to get to that right now? You want to kind of set it up?
Lead it in. Yeah, I feel like what we had wanted to do was find great stories of people who happen to be connected to the cars of the game,
Okay.
and
That's the sound of the garage door closing. It's okay.
Buz was one of the first that came to mind. It wasn't about having the fastest car or the fastest track or anything like that. It was more about just having a really genuine good story. That's what Fraser and I like to capture, good stories, good car stories.
And just meeting Buz very briefly, I can tell he's quite the character. And you have a really cool business that you run out of your home.
Yeah.
Talk about that briefly.
Plug
You
it.
can hand him the mic
Oh,
so,
yeah.
so we can hear him.
Plug it.
Yeah, it's called Seattle Speedometer, and you can go to seattlespeedometer.com and check it out. But basically, I restore and repair and calibrate gauges for vintage cars, trucks, boats, basically anything that had a gauge. Up until I cut it off probably in the early 80s, but I've gone back as far as 1901. And I specialize in all kind of vintage European sports cars, so Ferrari, Porsche, Mercedes, what have you, Lamborghini. I do lots of that, but yeah, and then, I build custom gauges for guys building custom cars, restorations, you name it. If it's a gauge, if it's on a dash, I can fix it and restore it.
And he likes to restore his own cars too. I mean, he's got his own plenty of side projects that are wasting away in his barn next to his shop.
That we'll see in the video
yeah,
as well.
that we see in the video. It's a pretty inspiring place, honestly, and the gauges were what first got us attracted to Buz. So this is the second video we've done with him.
I thought I saw the other one
Yeah.
that was more specifically about Seattle Speedometer
Yeah.
and the shop itself.
Yeah.
So you can check those out on eGarage.com. That's where all of Ben's videos live, as well as on their YouTube channel. So if you like what you see here, you can check those out, as well as the 2 other videos that Ben has made with us for this series coming up in the next coming weeks.
Yeah.
I've got some work for you, actually. We'll have to take a look. Tachometer
Always
on the Porsche has been slowly dying.
I bet it has.
Yeah. Yeah, probably not the first one you've done, I bet.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at the video. You want to set that up a little
I'll
bit more?
set up the video. Buz relocated out of the big city a couple of years ago, and when I thought of the place where we would shoot it in Eastern Washington, I just thought of epic landscapes. And Fraser and I drove out there, and it was like a kid in a candy store as far as views and visuals, and it all went very easily. We're old pals at this point, so like it's always fun to shoot with Buz. And I think Fraser was pretty inspired there. We had an interesting camera car that we used for a portion of the shoot, and plenty of stories to take away from it. But let's watch the video.
All right. Yeah. You ready on the video? Let's roll that.
There is a beautiful simplicity that I'm really attracted to about vintage things, because they are rebuildable and repairable, and the way that they're designed, you can understand the thought process behind it. My name is Buz Ras. Some people may know me as Seattle Speedometer. I live in Ellensburg, Washington, and I rebuild and restore gauges for vintage automobiles. And I drive a 1988 Jeep Grand Wagoneer, amongst other things. I needed a vehicle that is reliable, is tough, and kind of vintage looking, something that would stand out a little bit, because I like things that are old, kind of odd looking. The Jeep was like the benchmark of SUVs in the 80s. They put luxury and off-road durability, rolled it all into this super classic shape. The shape is almost unchanged from mid-60s until they quit making them in 1991. All four-wheel drive, always 4 doors, back tailgate, roof rack, all the necessities. It's so comfortable, and it's like driving a couch. It will literally go anywhere. I have yet for that thing to meet something that it can't traverse through. All doing it in beautifully fake wood-wrapped style. You can drive it through the country and you get thumbs up from farmers and kids. You drive it through the city, people love it. I've never encountered a situation where somebody eventually didn't come up to me and say, "Oh my God, that is like my dream car. I want one of those Jeep Wagoneers with the wood on the side." And I mean, that happens all the time. When I got the Jeep, it was a little bit of a project. I had to undo all the things that had been done. Change the motor, change the transmission, rebuilt the rear end, the interior, suspension. I love automotive projects. There's certainly been numerous times where my son and I are fixing things and he's learning stuff, and it's cool to pass that knowledge down. And he certainly has the car bug. He's always finding cars in alleys. He's found a lot of stuff. I'm kind of impressed. For a 9-year-old, he's a real scrapper. Having mechanical knowledge about cars is very valuable. Just knowing that you can keep things going, you can repair them, and that you're saving it for the next generation, for them to appreciate. There's a real sense of satisfaction. I do spend hours and hours in this shop with very tedious instruments. Sometimes there's a lot of stress involved because I'm working on a gauge where there's maybe 3 in the whole world. So it can get very intense in here. And that's where the Jeep can come into play. We can just get in it and we're out here in the middle of nowhere and we can just drive. And you can go way up into the hills, and being able to get out of here and away from everything else really helps clear your mind and reconnects you. Driving through these big country fields with cattle and trees and nobody else around for 20 miles just fits with my life. It fits with the Jeep fits with me, with my family. It's a good automotive marriage.
All right.
Hope y'all liked it.
Yeah. So not only a really cool ride, but just, like you said, epically shot in the beauty of Eastern Washington amongst the dust and the fields.
And the fire.
And the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, what do we want to talk about first? Fraser, why don't you talk about the
Yeah,
the
well,
fire
I
that's going
mean,
on?
like Ben said, we went and scouted the place where Buz lives, and it's a beautiful part of the state, rolling hills, and unfortunately we didn't get to see any of them when we showed up to shoot, but I think it was August last year when we shot this piece, and
Must have been smoky.
As we all know, like there was a lot of wildfires in this part of the country at that time, so we roll with it and we just shoot whenever we get to it. We kind of go with what we're given, so it ended up working in our favor, I guess. It looked really good on film.
I would agree totally.
Yeah, he also had the terrible job of a new camera car that we brought onto the scene, which just shout out Jesse. I got a aerial Nomad at the right time. I don't get
remember
press cars.
talking with you about that.
It's not really my thing, but Jesse was being a solid guy, and he's like, the car's there. Do you want it? I was like, yeah, I can have some fun. So if we want to pull up that album, we can see what it was like for the director in the captain's seat of the Nomad.
And the answer to the question, when somebody says, I've got an aerial Nomad, do you want it for the weekend? The answer is always yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it presented some interesting challenges. I like to, there you go. I like to throw things at my guys, like, surprise, we're going to have a Nomad as a camera car. And we've just been perfecting, over the last few years, the art of kind of stabilized motion capture in cars and stuff like that. And
So you mounted your whole thing onto the Nomad.
Yeah.
Bolted it on there.
Yeah.
And that's the shot
Every
right there.
morning there was like
Yeah,
the
it was a
rigging
thing.
of the Nomad.
And if you go to the next photo, you'll see what the interior looks like. That was
Quite a tight fit. in
the
there.
helm seat for Fraser.
Working with you guys, seeing the level of equipment that you guys have, it's just, I mean, for people who know how to use it, it must be like being a kid in the candy store because it's just amazing. Those are knobs to rotate, pan, and zoom, and everything. Plus, you can see everything that's happening there. It's really an amazing setup.
It looks like the photo got crunched. Is that how they're seeing it with his? There you go. There you go. Yeah, shout out to Nick who B-cam on the shoot, who collapsed in a terrible back spasm for 6 hours, but managed to soldier on. And you go to the next shot, you'll see little BTS, one of my favorites that Buz has done, and it's just artwork, the kind of custom gauges that he's done amongst his old machines.
That's
and
your
stuff.
art. That's on that, or
Well, this is from an artist that I know.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, sometimes I'll do collaborations with artists, and I'll send them just like basically the shape, and then I'll just say, free will, do what you want, and they'll come up with all kinds of crazy stuff and send it back to me, and then basically I just take that artwork and turn it into an instrument. Which, I mean,
cool.
yeah, they can really come out to be spectacular sometimes. It's always, I always find it fascinating when you give somebody a blank canvas, like, have at it. Because,
Let their creative
yeah,
juices
just
do the work.
whatever you want.
It's
You know,
kind of
there's
like coming into this guy's life and trying to tell his story. Fraser found him on Instagram and like, this guy's a great story, I can tell. And so we went and visited him and, you know.
And it turned out.
It was blank canvas, right? So
Featured twice.
yeah. The next shot is how we tend to experience shooting with Buzz, at least this last shot. This last shoot it was.
I would say every shoot with Buzz.
Yeah. There tends to be some on the side of the road action with a hood popped with Buzz. And but that's not to speak to his workmanship.
No, I mean when you're dealing with vintage cars, the unexpected is always expected. So yeah, there you go. You never know what's going to happen. And I, like so many other hardcore car guys, I knew they were coming to make this film. It's like, oh, okay, well, I've got this fuel injection. I'll put it on like the night before they get here. And of course, it's fuel injection. It'll all just work beautifully, right? And, you know, it didn't, of course. You know, it needed literally like weeks of tweaking and tuning, and there were many stuck by the side of the road.
Yeah, but we made the best of it, right?
Oh yeah,
so
no, to their credit, they made me look like $1 million.
a large portion of what the audience wouldn't see is that the truck wasn't running for a large portion of the shoot. So luckily we had brought another support vehicle, a Touareg, and tow strapped it for a lot of that rolling footage.
Yep.
You know, on the open kind of wide straight roads of Eastern Washington. And it all worked out.
And so what that comes down to is a lot of the footage you're seeing of the Wagoneer gently rolling down the hills or cruising right along, it's actually just rolling along in neutral. But it's shot so well, you wouldn't know. I mean, I didn't know until
We
you
did
told
what we
me.
could.
I'm like, it looks
Yeah.
like it's running there.
Yeah.
The master
Well,
of the art of shooting unrunning cars.
We took the Nomad thinking we were going to have some really rough terrain and we could keep up and go off road with this Jeep, and
Change of plan.
we ended up just driving down the road.
Yeah, it's amazing that, when you had told me that a tow strap was involved with a lot of these shots, I was thinking, okay, there's going to be this kind of close shot where you're not seeing the tow strap and pulling it, but you staged it in such a way that it's completely invisible.
What makes Fraser and I work so well is that we just get so many shots over the course of each day, and so there's a lot to choose from. And so, you only might need to see 4 or 8 seconds of the tight that we got with him tow strapping it. But since we got so many other things, and since we had those roads open to us, such a beautiful canvas and landscape to shoot from. So the next photo was thanks to Nick for the next after this. These are just beauty shots for the grams, the Nomad, the camera setup. Shout out.
That is
Flo
definitely
Cine and Free Fly and
My house is like
And red.
here.
You can't see it.
draw your power right from the power lines.
And the next one you'll see Nick inside, and Nick really wanted to go, so after his back was feeling better the next day, he drove it back over the pass. And
Actually, I rode with Nick to the shoot, and he drove it one morning, and the first thing he did was a burnout and a donut. So
Yeah?
yeah, shout out to Nick for
Jesse
that.
might be watching this. He gave us.
I mean, we treat things properly, so.
That thing's meant to do donuts. Absolutely.
I drove it through a huge puddle of water the first day I got it, and I didn't know what I was thinking. I was covered in water.
And that's how tight it is in there.
Yeah.
Can you fit in that thing?
I take my shoes off.
That's what was hilarious.
that's what a
Of
giant
all
I
things,
am.
the flip-flops
Of
had
all
to
the
come
things, I had
off.
to take my flip-flops to try to squeeze in there, and I made it happen. The flip-flops were holding me back, so once I got rid of them.
So funny.
And that's your tow rig in the back. That thing
Yeah,
is one
F350.
awesome
But
looking
he brought
truck.
his son with him, and I think he had a good time on the road, right?
Yeah, he liked it. It scared him a little bit, but
It's a little different than the
Yeah.
Grand Wagoneer.
it is.
And one thing you're going to see recurring in these videos is there is some relative, well, aerial plays a role in not only this video, but
Yep.
in one of the other videos.
Yep.
If you look back on some of the Instagram photos that perhaps you took during the other shoot,
Yep.
or back on the Heavy Metal Affliction shoot, you'll see another role that the Ariel brand played in shooting these.
They make good camera
Awesome-
cars. Make
awesome
good camera
camera
cars,
cars.
man.
Yeah, who'd have thunk it?
But it should be known that after the shoot happened, just because of Buzz and mine relationship, I also got an inquiry to use the Jeep for another filming purpose. And so the Grand Wagoneer now has some serious provenance attached to it.
Can you talk about that?
Can you talk about that?
We can talk about it. So I get this text from Ben late at night. He's like, "You still have that Jeep, right?" I was like, "Yeah, still got it." He's like, "I've got somebody that needs to. They might want to borrow it for a little bit." Okay, great. Send it my way. And I get this email from a guy. He's like, "Hey, we're shooting this thing. We need a Jeep Grand Wagoneer. Can we rent it?" Sure. Yeah. No, I'm sure we can work something out. And come to find out, it was Bill Gates and his book selection for the winter. If you go on, I believe his Instagram page, Bill Gates Official, I believe that's what it is. There's a whole movie on there, and he's actually driving this very Jeep on around through this, talking about books and this, that, and the other. So there is
Really cool.
numerous tie-ins with all kinds of stuff. But yeah, he took
he didn't make you an offer.
he took some hot laps in the Jeep. So yeah, it has.
So those vinyl seats have been blessed.
Oh, they have, yeah. And I haven't wiped them down since.
It's probably worth like another $5,000 now.
Oh, at least. I mean that ups the price of it like
Yeah.
$20,000.
It's for sale.
Yeah, and it is for sale. That is true. It is for sale.
What's the value on that car these days?
These I've seen them. They're all over the place. This one I'm looking to get 16. So I figured it's kind of middle of the road, but
Reach out to me after the show.
there you go. It is for sale.
Cool. So from there, I guess, do you want to talk about what it's been like owning the car? Is there some more production aspects that went into this? We can also talk about the kind of the eGarage and Forza relationship on how we're doing these videos.
Sure.
And we want to address that on what we're trying to achieve with these.
Yeah.
Aside from just doing cool videos on cool cars and getting cool people here in the garage, there's actually kind of a goal here to get views. Among other things, but you want to address that?
Yeah, I think, Fraser and I have been telling automotive stories for many, many years, and some of them are paid for and some of them aren't. So we just do it because we love it. And I've always thought that the Forza franchise was a bank of stories, just, a really, really rich well. And the nice thing about Fraser and I is he loves the game and plays the game religiously for years and years and years. I've really dabbled in it. So we come at it from two very different perspectives. And we both just brainstorming and years of thinking of content and potential stories. And we share a city, right? And so the conversations gradually happened.
Thanks to Fred Russell, by the way. Shout out to Fred Russell
Fred.
for actually sending me an email saying, "John, you're doing this video series. Have you talked to Ben?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "I don't know. I didn't talk to Ben. That eGarage is pretty awesome." And I felt at first, and you kind of know how I am, I felt like you guys were kind of out of my league. But
Yeah.
seems
He
we
is. He is. I'm not.
He is.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I think it was just working towards a match over years takes a lot of time. It takes refining the craft and getting on your guys' radar and figuring out, being asked to provide services is a great thing.
This whole process took a long time.
Yeah.
This has been
I mean,
in the oven for almost a year now
It's
since
been a
we
while.
started talking about it.
We were stoked, honestly, when we started talking about doing this video series. I know I was, because I've been playing Forza, like Ben said, for forever. So for us to get the opportunity to do projects with Forza, it was great. We actually stood in my living room and pulled up the game and went through the cars and just sort of picked what cars we would like to do. So
Yeah.
I don't know if we can talk about the
You can't
ones
fake your
there.
love of Forza. When you sat in that seat and Ben had kind of said, Fraser would love to play, and I was like, Fraser could play.
Yeah.
Or spend
He's
the
like-
whole
yeah.
show in that
We just
seat.
like, yeah, we could just do a full show with you just driving here.
I was telling Ben on the way down here, I've played Forza on 3 different consoles, like since I was a freshman in college, playing Forza 2 on the original Xbox, and then from there, like Forza 3, 360, I've pretty much played all of them, and I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
I remember when we were talking and I was trying to explain to you what my vision for these was and how I wanted them to try to come out as, I said, you know, in kind of the style of Petrolicious. And you're like, well, Fraser's shot some videos for Petrolicious. Talk a little bit about what kind of skills it takes to do that and what videos you've been a part of for that.
That was a long time ago, to be honest. But yeah, I think beyond anything, beyond the filmmaking side of it, it just takes a love for cars. I think that's why I started doing this. You know, I was in photography before I started making films, and then once I made a film about a car, it just sort of clicked. And then I made a few, and then the ball started rolling from there. And Ben and I have been working together for 5 years now, and yeah, I would say over and above the filmmaking side, it's just having an interest for people and stories and cars. And I think that's why the Forza videos kind of hit home for me, at least. It's, you know, perfect fit.
Well, we are a home for cars, certainly.
Yeah.
What's your background that gives you all these skills? You're just a natural talent. I mean, you are certified.
Well, yeah.
Certified something.
Certified official,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not insured, but
Yeah.
certified.
No, I mean, I went to undergrad for film and video, and then I went to grad school for photo, and then after grad school, I was a photographer for a few years, and then, like I said, I just got into doing the car thing because it was kind of a passion within me, I guess, like something I wanted to explore. And then, yeah, here we are today, still doing it, still loving it.
It was tangible. I think following social, that's how we meet new people these days. But watching him start to put up his work in the early days, and it was tangible what he had, the eye he had, the passion he had for not only the car, but the person's story. And it was just a well-rounded thing. And he and I have just been kind of going around picking off good stories as we can find them, and refining the craft and being super efficient and kind of guerrilla. You know, none of those streets were closed down when we were shooting Buzz, but it
Get
was
the shot and go.
yeah. We just pick
Yeah.
environments knowing exactly how long it takes us to get what shots, and we do as much pre-production as possible.
Ask forgiveness, not permission.
It's better to regret having done something than to regret having not done something.
Yeah.
That's I've been quoting that like for days now.
Yeah.
You guys have a great chemistry between each other. Talk a little bit about how it is you guys get along. I mean, you're obviously very different people.
Yeah.
How does that chemistry
It just
come
takes
out?
years. I mean, I think it takes years of trust and respect and working together, and open communication and a lot of that stuff that's hard for guys, adult men to do. But like, you know, you got to have an open line of communication.
Let down your guard, a little intimacy.
Yeah, you got to be vulnerable, and you got to be complimentary, which is hard for guys to do. And you just like, you really got to nurture. I've had to nurture him as he's maturing in his craft. I've thrown a bunch of new equipment that he never knew how to use. I certainly don't know how to use it. Sorry. And so I think it's about a lot of it is just mutual respect and trusting the
It's a
flow.
learning curve, yeah. It's just over time, you know. Figuring out how well we work together comes, I guess, over time. Especially when we're on a set, I'm always thinking about the shot and the next shot, and Ben's always able to help me sort of plan 3 moves ahead. So that's kind of, you know, it works out well when we're actually shooting.
It is fun when we're filming just to see these two guys just going like back and forth. It's like the complete package between two people, and they've got everything covered, but you just never know which one's going to come up with what. But this is the second film I've done with them, and both films honestly have always been just like a cakewalk. You know, they're a blast, and I don't have to, you know, when you look at that, you know, I'm doing the least amount of work in every one of those shots. I mean, there's so much going on.
You don't even have to drive in
Yeah,
some
I
of
mean,
those shots.
I'm just coasting along. And the engine's not even on. But yeah, no, it's cool to see them like work it out. You can tell that it's definitely a chemistry that works, obviously.
Yeah, I mean,
Because here we are.
Thank you, man. This is a relatively new skill for me. I didn't go to school in any of it, so I was just kind of inspired to go into this whole video thing, realizing that it's the most concise way to publish good content. And again, I think part of it's original content, just keeping the creative juices flowing, and then the other part of it is obviously paid work. So.
Yeah. One of the things that has been interesting to me, going way back in my personal car story and my first exposure to eGarage, was, you know, I discovered Magnus Walker, urban outlaw
Yeah.
film, and then all of a sudden, you know, not once I was immersed in his little world, I saw that you guys had worked with him, and you've done 2 or 3 different
Many.
Magnus films,
Many.
and then I was like, okay,
Yeah.
wow. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why when I thought out of my league, I'm like, I'm just little John Wana here, and you're doing some of the early films on Magnus. What are some of your favorite films?
Can we pull up the eGarage Instagram and scroll through that a little bit? Favorites?
I can't even remember the first one that we did. to
We've
be
had so
honest.
many shooting Magnus.
many.
We've had so many. You know, clients have taken us to really small parts of the world. Million Mile Mustang. There's something about just like really wholesome stories
I
that.
do have a favorite Magnus piece, though, if you want to have a specific moment from that.
Sure.
I met Magnus at Amelia Island in 2012, it was right after Urban Outlaw came out.
Okay.
We struck it off. My family's actually from Sheffield, where he's from, so we kind of had a little shared thing there. But anyway, we've done probably a dozen films, just call it a dozen, over the last 5 years with him. But my favorite is the 6th Street Bridge video when that closed. I was able to do like a little bit more documentary style, like I like, and look at that area and the architecture of the bridge and how the sort of community felt about that whole place coming down, because that's an iconic part of LA.
That's when
So
they
much
get
stuff
to
has been
party
shot.
down
Yeah,
in there,
exactly.
yep.
Yeah, so
That is a really cool one.
He's at his best when he gets no direction from me, because he just wants to do his thing, and then it's on me to have
It's
that
all in
push
my
and
head.
pull to be like, well, let's steer this a little bit, especially if there's somebody paying for it.
When I've seen you guys work together, I mean, you get on set and you're head down. I mean, I don't think that whole day we spent out at Maryhill that I said more than a couple words to you. You were
Right.
just, your face is in the screen. I can just see
Yeah.
your gears turning.
get in the game.
And then your face changes
Game time, dude.
to this total,
Yeah.
focus. You're in this, control position of choosing things, but at the same time, you're just letting it flow.
It's a lot about that. A lot about that is pre-production. A lot about there's certain shoots where it's more like just improv, and we're just like with what happened with Buzz. There's stuff like the other one that will come. That was a lot of pre-production. You know how the day's going to go. Once I put that little earpiece in, dude, I just,
He's all about the earpiece.
love that earpiece.
He loves
man.
walkie-talkies and
I can help you
GoPros.
get in the zone. Once you, it's like putting headphones on. That's what. That's
Cool,
what
just
you're
keep
paying attention
scrolling.
to. Keeps you focused.
So yeah, there's some of these are just photos that have no videos attached. Actually, scroll back up a little bit.
Hey, that's my tachometer right there.
Yeah. So this is another video. This is another video of Drivers Club we just did. Shout out Drivers Club.
Drivers Club is a local car club, storage, country club for car lovers.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna like that you said that, but it's okay. He's still working on it.
How would I?
I don't know. It's an inside joke, but yeah, it's.
Probably other people have said the same thing.
Yeah, it's hard to put your thumb on what it is that these new things with cars are trying to do, but everybody should go check it out.
It's a really cool place.
Yeah, it
Leave
is.
it at that.
It is. But yeah, we're privileged enough to, this was the Nomad on Nomad, which there's another local Nomad, Nomad on Aerial. If you
Can
see
you talk about the S7?
the S7,
Are we allowed to
that's an
talk about that?
upcoming shoot. There's a little teaser
Yeah.
of one that's coming down the pipe for the audience.
S7 twin turbo.
S7 twin
Oh,
turbo.
that's right.
Which,
Yeah, twin turbo. I
I mean,
forgot.
clearly an awesome car just from the start. But
I think my
the twin
Jeep
turbo
would give
is
that a
just,
run for its money.
Yeah.
You can see how
Good
different,
company.
though, like, Grand Wagoneer, S7 twin turbo, and then the third, we really wanted to just grab this wide array of cars to feature from within the game and see what the audience likes best.
Yeah, and I think overall in your catalog, the diversity is. I mean, there's one on a old Chrysler Cordoba, right?
We've done stuff on
Just about everything.
buses, we've done stuff on old pickup trucks, we've done
Yep.
Plymouth Fury, satellites. Just, it doesn't really matter. They don't have to be
Currently shooting a
exotic.
piece on cycle carts, which is
Yeah.
what I'm currently excited about.
Yeah, I mean, just anything in motion is what gets us jazzed, really. So this is a perfect marriage for us.
The Pingauser.
Yeah, Pinsgauer.
Pinsgauer.
Yeah,
That's really amazing. That's another local vehicle.
yeah, the SAR pins. Again, a great story of a guy helping people with an amazing rig and pulling out the Polaris as a little camera car.
I've ridden in that. That thing's pretty awesome.
It's
by
come in
itself.
handy a few
That was
times.
so much fun to shoot, but the Pinscauer is such a beast off-road. We had to abandon the camera car, just take the camera with us, and the Pinscauer probably made it another 2 miles in the snow, deep snow.
Yeah.
Places. Yeah.
It's about how wide the track was, and the Polaris just got out of its element. Yeah, it's a pretty impressive vehicle, just built purely for search and rescue purposes and to educate people in search and rescue.
Yeah.
It's
I
a
mean, the
great
Swiss
story.
built it purely for that, and then he's built it to a whole nother level
Yeah,
on
yeah.
top of that.
Yeah. So anyway, lots of projects.
Yeah.
Feel free
Really
to check us out.
awesome partner to work with for a project like this. It's been a super awesome pleasure. Super awesome pleasure. I'm very enthusiastic. We've got 4 more episodes coming. Just a little pre-episode hype here. Next week, we are doing. What are we doing next week? Brain block.
I can tell you what mine two
Next
are.
week is the Ferrari Dino, featuring 1970 Ferrari Dino. The week after that, we're going to be featuring the Lancia.
Yep.
Which-
037 Stradale.
Which for me, this is just pure car video candy, and being on that shoot was just
It was a fun one.
outstanding. It was
Yeah.
so fun.
That was a fun one.
Then we're
No,
going.
no tow rope on that one.
Yeah. That
No
car never
rope
broke
on
down.
that
The car
one.
actually ran all day,
Yeah.
Buzz. Yeah, yeah.
It actually took a beating.
Yeah.
It
If we weren't
it
on
did quite
camera,
well.
I have some other things to say to you.
Driver Alistair McRae, Lancia 037, Maryhill Loops, Ariel Atom hard mount camera car. There's really just no end
Yeah.
to what made
was a
that
fun
day
shoot.
so amazing. Perfect weather.
Yeah.
So many things. So we've got that coming in 2 weeks, and then after that we are going to our 3rd archive video, which is the Porsche 356 owned by John Knowles of Turn 10, and then we're going to close out with the Saline S7 twin turbo that you saw in the photo there, and that was a really fun day too.
Yeah, and I think another thing we should add is why we did 3 and 3. Like, I think it was, in this initial series of 6 stories that we wanted to try out, and I think you should. It helps the audience understand that different perspectives on different stories is a good thing.
Absolutely. I mean, my idea initially, that I kind of pitched to you guys and that I pitched to the other production companies I worked with was just my ideas that I had, and I think that evolved a lot through working with you, and then having 2 different production companies shows entirely different styles, abilities, and end results to really show, what is it that you guys like amongst this? Are the cars more important? Are the stories more important? Are the people more important? And how do those all mesh together?
Yeah.
And so as we go through this mini-series here, hopefully we get the good feedback from you guys of what it is that you would love to see if this was to continue going forward. I have an idea that the Lancia video is going to be they're going to be like, more of that?
I mean, yeah, it'll get your heart pumping. But it is about knitting different people into the community in different ways. And so some people, some aspects about cars or the way they're shot might speak to different people. And that's what
That's
intrigues
just
us.
me, but I think everybody's different.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
my personal favorite.
Yeah, you were a kid in a candy store that day, given everything that was in place.
That was the highlight of my year last year. Was that shoot.
I was right with you there. I mean, I got to drive the Maryhill Loops Road myself
Yeah.
that day.
I had a religious experience on that day.
You did.
Yeah.
I saw your
Yeah, it was
face
crazy.
after that.
Yeah. We'll talk about that on that day.
Yeah.
More stories to come.
We've got about 10 minutes left. I know, Fraser, you are dying to get back into that game.
Yeah,
there.
I've been trying to play this the whole time we've been sitting here, and I'm trying to be
maybe-
polite.
If we want to, we can watch. Is
yeah.
there anything else we wanted to get in here in our 2 minutes before we launch
Thanks for
into
doing
some
this.
gameplay?
Thanks for doing this, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had a ball. Thank you.
So glad that you were able to be here.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
So glad
And
the
that your
car
rig
made it.
Yeah.
mostly.
It runs great now. And it was just,
He always says this.
Just has to make it back.
the typical car guy, try to throw a bunch of parts at it before your friends come over and then.
So there was an
your friends
issue
come
getting over here this time as
there
well.
was no issue getting here today.
I have
Okay.
proof.
But yeah, there were numerous issues that I brought upon myself when they were filming it.
This is the car life, right?
I have only myself to blame. So
You got a lot on your plate.
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of stuff. I got a lot of cars. I got a lot of projects.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've learned recently, that I had to make some changes. I had this garage full of cars, and basically on my mind constantly is, okay, when's the next car going to the shop? When am I buying more parts? When am I delegating more time to this project or that? And I had to make some changes because for me at the time, after doing that for a long time, I was kind of doing it wrong. I wasn't enjoying
Yeah.
owning all those cars. So I had to make some changes, but if you can kind of keep doing it, and if you have the right garage and the right skills, it can really be, it's a way of life.
Yeah.
I still think you should post more pictures of your garage. It's a pretty cool place. It's a pretty cool place.
It looks like it in the
Yeah.
video. So if you joined us between the start of this and the end of this, which is coming in about 10 minutes, we will be posting the video that you saw during this debut to the Turn 10 Studios YouTube. That'll be up later today, and you can take a look at it there. You can also go back in the live stream and take a look at it. And it'll also be on the eGarage site later. So watch it everywhere. Watch it often.
Yeah.
And post comments and let us know what you think.
Please post
because
comments.
That's very important to us.
Yeah.
And now, I think, to what is going to be the highlight of the show, Fraser,
Yeah, watching me
Is not
crash on the
crashing into a
Nürburgring.
wall.
let's, I don't know what track you're on.
I'm on the Nürburgring, the only track
Forza
to be
Motorsport
on.
7 in the Grand Wagoneer.
I can coach you how to do this.
Yeah.
It's set up
I
with
mean,
an
I
automatic.
ca- I
You
can't-
should have seen them earlier.
I can show you.
It's not as exciting as you might think. I can barely get out of second gear.
Look at a smile on his
Buzz-
face.
And
Buzz
we'll
was
just-
gassing, Fraser was steering earlier.
Look, man, look. Okay, just watch this.
Your foot is on the clutch, not the brake.
It'd be great if we could pick Eastern Washington, pick the roads of.
This car would be fun in Horizon 4. I wish it was in Horizon.
Oh, you had to say that, didn't
Just putting that out there.
you? Yeah, it's totally true. I mean, the Grand Wagoneer is a perfect example of a classic off-road vehicle that everybody wants a chance to drive, whether it's on track or off-road. It is in Forza Horizon 2. That's where I first experienced it, and it was a quick favorite for me.
I mean, do people like these without the wood, or is it only the wood that makes it?
It only came with the wood, right?
I'm just wondering if that was.
It's all about the wood.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if that's the family friendly. If that's where the fascination came from. Not that it's not a cool truck, but did they come out immediately with wood? It's probably. So it was wood that got people fascinated.
I think in the resurgence of that vehicle, the wood paneling ones have a special place.
It's not even real wood, it's a sticker.
Right.
So it's like, you see like,
Wait, it's not real wood?
it's like,
It's not real wood. You just shattered that guy's dreams.
Oh, wait, boo, yeah. Yeah, just crashing.
They made the PT Cruiser with wood paneling.
yeah.
That really
It's probably
up
it's
for
going to
it.
be the most desirable.
Oh, this is-
Just simply going down the road.
Oh, really? You know, just open up the drive for.
I remember. For like 5 minutes.
I wonder if it smells the same. Do you remember how badly it stunk in some of those fields?
Oh yeah.
I do like that they got the issue number to vibrate.
That's a nice touch, actually.
Well, when we model these cars, there are literally like thousands of photos taken.
Yeah, I'm really impressed. I mean, even the shape of the key is
Now, Fraser, have you driven his real life car?
I have not had the pleasure of driving.
Especially after watching him here. What track is he on?
He's on the Nürburgring.
I'm on the Nürburgring, the only track to be on.
Now, this is definitely something you're not going to see very often. I don't know if
You're
it's
not.
ever happened in real life. A Jeep Grand Wagoneer on the Nürburgring. I imagine lap times are going to be somewhere in the after the show.
Sub 10 minute, I think. If I stay here all day, it's sub 10 minute.
You'd stay on the gas. You lifted. That's your problem. See, you just lifted again.
Well,
You're still on the straightaway.
yeah, but look at this though. Look at
The coach.
Look at break that
The
thing.
coach. I love it.
Oh,
Full off,
You
full
got a
off.
drifter right there.
oh, I forgot I have this.
Yeah, push the drift button.
Drift stick does get a little bit in the way. I'll tell you, if you come into a corner really hot, you grab that thing and pull, and it will get you turned. There you go.
Too hot. Too
All
hot.
right, little too hot, little too hot. That's gonna ruin my sub 10
And
minutes.
just
lap
hold
time.
the brake to go back. Oh, he's a manual. That's one of the great
Yeah,
things
purist.
about sports.
In a
is
manual.
that I don't think they ever made that car in a manual, did they?
I think there's maybe like 5 or 10
Okay.
they're all on.
What would you say real life 0 to 60 times?
Tuesday.
Yes, about 48 hours. No, it's
It feels fast. It's got
it
the.
feels fast, but you know, you're also moving on metal.
Yeah. Very inefficiently through the air.
Oh yeah. 9 gallons.
The next two cars that we're showing are much more performance oriented, shall we say.
But the Grand Wagoneer fills the niche
Yeah.
of off-road and classic V8 perfectly all on its own.
I knew going into
see
this.
that?
I knew going into the story that the video would be, no offense, a bit of a mopey one. And I was like, it's just lopey, just mellow, feel good, and it's representative of his lifestyle out there, just in the country. I'll say lopey, Yeah, sometimes when you text me, you're a little mopey. I can tell, but largely it's lopey. Or the
Starting out
11-month-old daughter.
Yeah, or my little
They're great. They're great. Honey, we love them.
The cars are wrong.
I know we didn't get to a lot of questions as we went through the show. I think we were just pretty much filling the questions. Hopefully, if somebody does have something
Somebody
that you're
listening?
dying to ask, throw it up there in chat, and we will try to get to it. Dumang with a Vegas vacation car.
Rubbish.
That would be, I could see
Yeah.
rolling down the boulevard.
That would be a spectacular.
Yeah.
With lights inside.
Family truckster from
Yeah.
Duangus. Yeah, perfect family truckster. Way cooler, actually.
It has a unique odor to it itself with
I'll
that
just
kind of
see the next stream.
quasi-shag carpets,
Yeah,
and that 80s vinyl. So
Mhm.
if people can imagine how it smells, it's just
Yeah, I mean that carpet it's thick. That's not just like car carpet. They're like, we want you to roll in comfort.
yeah. Yeah,
I think more Bentley Bentayga.
right. Yeah.
We got about 3 minutes left here. Are you going to be able to finish this lap by the end of the show?
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah, no, I don't think so. I'm 3 minutes in.
Yeah. You want to talk to that last one? That takes time, really.
Oh, let's see here. I know they're asking about getting this in Forza Horizon 4. I don't know if the Wagoneer is coming to Forza Horizon 4. I would hope so. Sometimes licensing deals can be complex with different manufacturers, especially when it comes to classic cars. So I don't have an answer as to why the Grand Wagoneer is not in Forza Horizon 4. I don't actually know if it's not going to be in Forza Horizon 4. There's still a litany of cars that are coming your way in that game's rewards that are essentially free. So lots to look forward to in that, and you just have to wait and see. But if you want to get a good look at it on track, because this thing is definitely made for the track. Drive it in Forza Motorsport 7, drive it in Forza Horizon 2. Check me if I'm wrong, chat, but I think it's in Forza Horizon 3 as well. So you can drive it in Australia, you can drive it in Europe.
Look at him. He's butt puckering for him.
That was
exciting.
That's
was
like
a little
a
hot
true
coming
realism
in-
right there.
coming
When you're
into that
not
one.
even driving in a video game, and it's still.
It's the realism of this setup. I'm gonna have to go get one of these now.
Funkhouse said you seem to be enjoying the wheel setup, Fraser.
Yeah, I'll just stay here. I'll see you on the next stream, I think.
You're welcome to come over and play anytime. It really is an optimum setup. Got to thank Fnatic for the awesome Club Sport wheel, pedals, and shifter games, for the awesome MT40 monitor and playseat for the great playseat setup. Oh, I'm hearing some off-road. I can't actually see the screen, but I'm hearing off-road sounds.
Just testing the shocks.
Fine though. That's what's made.
That's where the Jeep feels at most at home.
Exactly.
He meant to do that.
That's where it.
Just hugging the shoulder.
So we'll go. Let's go ahead and come back to this shot, Frazier. Nice job on the driving.
Yeah.
And are we back on a Sony full cam shot here? And we'll kind of take out the end of the show. That's the show.
Right on.
That's our debut number 2, episode number 2, Jeep Grand Wagoneer. Every week we'll be coming back at you for the next 4 weeks here with Along for the Ride. And I encourage you to come back and watch more. 1 p.m. on Wednesdays. Ben, thank
Ben.
you for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Ben and Fraser will be here for each one of the episodes. Buzz, you're welcome to come back and watch. But
Show up.
He might,
know
truck
where
might
I
not
live?
make it out of here. I don't know.
yeah, so this has been your debut number 2 for Along for the Ride. And we'd like to thank you for watching. This is a really fun experience, somewhat of an experiment. So we look forward to your feedback. And then this is the part of the show where we wrap up the show.
Yeah.
And I say that I'm John Awana.
I'm Ben.
I'm Buzz.
I'm Fraser.
And you're not. And I'm out of here.
that.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Yeah. Simple and to the point.